Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. Also welcome to a brand new reading vlog in which I read Sally Rooney's writing for the first time ever, and the book that I'm hopefully starting off her bibliography with, which I get to go on this journey with, is Normal People. This is one of those books that split the readership down the middle. I mean, there are so many people who love it, and this book becomes their whole personality as they conduct themselves online. And the other half is the people who hate it with everything they've got. But I've also seen people who sit on the split line. Like, they think it's okay, but they don't see why people would love it or hate it. And I've always been surprised at the intensity of all these emotions, and it made me curious as to where I would fall on the radar when the time came for me to read it. And that time has come. And in this reading vlog, I'm going to find out, along with you all, what I think of this very popular book. But first, the blurb. Connell and Marianne grow up in the same small town in the west of Ireland, but the similarities end there. In school, Connell is popular and well-liked, while Marianne is a loner. But when the two strike up a conversation, awkward but electrifying, something life-changing begins. Okay, so this sounds like the kind of story that focuses on the characters' actions and their reasons behind them, and I think for that I'll need a lot of patience and time. But we got time. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this reading vlog and come along as I read Sally Rooney for the first time, starting with her second novel, Normal People. I'm a very not normal person, and I'm here to talk about normal people. The first thought that comes to my mind when I say Normal People and Sally Rooney is the lack of punctuation, but it's been spoken about so much on social media that it got me thinking, am I going to like it? Am I going to be irritated by the lack of punctuation? And by punctuation, I mean dialogue tags and whatnot. But it doesn't faze me that much. It's fine. Like, it's not the end of the world that she's writing like this. As to what I think of the story so far, I'm really liking this book so far. It is so beautifully written. It is simple but beautiful, and there are these snatches of places where the prose just goes to the next level, and it tugs at my heart in a way that I was not expecting from this book. Maybe that's a disservice to Sally Rooney's writing, but come on, this is my first time reading her work, so maybe I was a little apprehensive as to how I was going to find it. I don't know if my reading tastes have changed, if times have changed, or what exactly it is, but I am loving this book. I cannot wait to go back to it. Every time I put it aside, I am like, okay, I'm only this much into the story, but there's so much more remaining, and I cannot wait to find out what exactly Connell and Marianne are up to. And putting my reading tastes aside, what I've seen in the first 44 pages of this book is that this is a story about two people from different parts of society whose worlds collide. They live in a small Irish town, and when they start talking and when they find that there are so many things that they have in common, but the societal rules, the social hierarchies that they have going in their community make sure that their paths don't cross all that much. Even if they do cross, they just don't see eye to eye, they don't meet eye to eye. And this means that both their social circles, which Marianne doesn't have one, so basically it's Connell's social circle, it's in danger of going up in the air if people ever as much as got wind of the fact that he was having a relationship with Marianne. So because of that, they have to keep their relationship clandestine. They have to go behind closed doors to actually be with each other so that nobody else ever knows. Because Marianne is a social pariah for whatever reason, and Connell, if he is seen associating with Marianne, his whole social circle will explode. So it's sort of sad to see, but it's also a reflection of reality in itself, which is again sad to see. And these interpersonal relationships and social connections are what at least make up the first 44 pages of this book. I can't wait to read the next however many pages there are. This book has 266 pages, and I think I'm going at a decent enough pace that I might be able to finish it during the next week. I don't want to rush it though, because this is my first book by this author, so I just want to take care that I don't rush it and end up hating the book or something. Although from this point of view, from this standpoint, I can see myself actually loving this book. Connell, you freaking idiot. Punch him in the face. Not that much. This book. I'm on page 66 currently, and so much has happened in the last 22 pages. So much has shifted what the characters feel, their circumstances, their behaviors towards each other, and I understand every single one of them. But there is one character that I love with all of my heart, and that is Lorraine, who is Connell's mother. I won't tell you why I love her so much. It's just that she is an amazing example of a human being, and she is an amazing example of how family that keeps a person accountable is the best kind of family there is. And it's a very gripping read, and I didn't want to stop, but it's now dinner time and we have to go have dinner, so I had to stop. But I wanted to make this little update before we did, and oh god, what am I going to do with this book? What am I going to do once this book is over? Because I find I've gotten very attached to Marianne in particular, and I have a feeling that that is going to happen with Connell as well. I don't know what this book has in store for me, because there are 200 more pages, but I still feel like I'm going to hold this close to my heart. I don't know why I have that feeling, and I'm a little irritated with myself that I didn't start annotating it, but maybe it's a good excuse for me to finish reading this book and then get on to the annotations, because I will then know the lay of the story very well, and I will know where I want to highlight and the like. I don't know, man. I'm just making excuses for myself at this point, because there's no going back. So yes, that is where I'm at in Normal People. I'm on page 66. Oh, one more thing. When I read this book, when I'm reading this book, I visualize Connell and Marianne as Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones. I don't know. It's probably because I have the knowledge that this show has been made and there are actors that I can put in these two characters, and it's kind of making my job easier or something. I don't know what job that is, but they are in my mind. When I visualize Connell and Marianne, Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones are who I see. So right now I'm going to take a break, go have some dinner, and I might not read this book today, but once I do read it, you'll get an update, because that's how reading vlogs work. Okay, bye. It's been a productive day, but it's also been a very sleep deprived day because my insomnia made sure that I got only 2 hours of sleep, and that wasn't last night, that was this morning. Even through all of that, I managed to read a considerable amount of this. I think I've read 40 pages of this book today. How the turntables. Things have happened that I'm like, oh, so now you know. But throughout this section, whatever I've read so far, the last 40 pages, it shows how you can change and grow as people, but you can also retain the same characteristics that you had once upon a time, because some things, they never truly leave you. There might be reasons why you behave that way, but even though you think that you may have grown past them or you've gotten over them, they will still be there somewhere, and they will come out in ways that you probably wouldn't anticipate. And how Connell and Marianne navigate their whole relationship in this new setting when they are off to college, and Trinity College no less. By the way, that's a bucket list item for me. But this is such an eye-opening book because it puts forward the reality of so many people in simple words, but beautiful nevertheless. It's just gorgeous writing. There are some places where I just had to pause, take a breath, and reread them. Connell is talking about the book Emma, and in a way, the feeling provoked in Connell when Mr. Knightley kisses Emma's hand is not completely asexual, though its relation to sexuality is indirect. It suggests to Connell that the same imagination he uses as a reader is necessary to understand real people also, and to be intimate with them. Okay, so there's this very simple sentence that Marianne says. Marianne and Connell are talking to Marianne's friend Peggy, who's kind of asking a few invasive questions, and it's not that they mind, but it's also not something that they are comfortable with. But Marianne is answering as honestly as she can, and in the middle of this whole conversation, she says, "Generally, I find men are a lot more concerned with limiting the freedoms of women than exercising personal freedom for themselves." You go online at any given point in time today, you're going to find that. Because men will be there saying with their whole chest things that they would never say about themselves, because it's like, I have some self-respect, why would I say that about myself? But I can say that about a woman, about a random woman that I see on the internet. Excuse me. And this sort of made me smile because she told it in such a bold manner that I just had to pause. I read it twice, thrice, but overall this is a great book so far. I am currently on page 107, and I'm very hopeful about how this book is going to go and how much time I'm going to take to read it. It's not going to be long, and that makes me so happy. That makes my little heart so happy. It's exactly because of that this book is going to remain close to my heart, because it has come to me at a time when I was battling a reading slump, a life slump of sorts, and it took me by the hand and it's pulling me out of it. Sally Rooney, my god. Okay. Why am I getting emotional? A few hours ago, I started reading this book at page 107, and there came a point where Connell did something so irritating. It was not just irritating, it was frankly a jerk thing to do, and I was like, what is going on with you? This boy just gets on my nerves. And I closed the book, I put it aside because I didn't want to indulge in whatever he was saying at that moment. I mean, it's fine story-wise, character-wise, but I was just not in the headspace to deal with him in that moment. So I'm picking it back up now. Let's see what happens. Don't be an ass. Why am I laughing? feeling a strange sense of nostalgia for a moment that was already in the process of happening. Joanna believes that she knows what Marianne's family are like. But how can she? How can anyone? When Marianne herself doesn't. Okay, till now I had a problem with Connell and how he was treating Marianne. But what is this Marianne doing, man? What is she? What is this reaction? Talk, no talk. But this miscommunication thing, it always makes me angry. At certain points in the book, I want to punch the main characters in the face, but at others, there are so many of the side characters that I just want to see burn in hell because they are so abusive in a few ways. In more than a few ways. It's so enraging, it's so outrageous, this behavior, and the way I would just jump into the pages if I could and stop these people from saying what they are saying and doing what they're doing. I am so torn about this book, about this story, because it's so obvious that Connell and Marianne, they care about each other very deeply, but they just won't talk properly. Like, if something is happening, you need to be clear about what you want, about what you need, and not just throw everything up in the air and behave like you can't hear what the other person is saying, like you don't want to hear what the other person is saying. I mean, it's easier said than done because sometimes we get so in our own heads that we decide that this is what the other person also wants and this is what is the best way to go for everyone, and we just don't want to be pulled off that track. But it feels like these people are being intentionally dense and intentionally so stubborn that they don't want to, try out a way in which they can actually be together, because it's obvious that they love each other. It's obvious that they care very deeply for each other, but all they are doing is running away. But it just makes me want to shake both of them till their teeth rattle, because they just won't listen to their hearts. They keep listening to that part of their brain which is like, hey, you know what, don't do this anymore, find an excuse and F off to back where you came from. Like, not in that way obviously, but and yet, even though there is the miscommunication trope that I really despise, in any other book it would have been something that would make me put the book down way before the point where I'm at right now. But in this book, it somehow makes the story more palatable for me. I am getting irritated at how they are handling it, but that is the whole point of the miscommunication trope, especially in a book like this. And this book is not just about a miscommunication trope being one part of the story. It's about how two people who are so different from each other, when society sees them, like there is a class divide between them. They are so in love with each other, but their minds keep playing this miscommunication up. It keeps making them want to do these things without any consideration for their hearts and their feelings. I think this is a good representation of that, showing how lives can change when all of these happen, when thoughts and feelings are left unspoken and things are left halfway through because you didn't feel comfortable enough to share your innermost thoughts with the person you're in love with. On the whole, I'm really liking this book. I want to say I'm loving it, but that whole not talking, not sharing of feelings, like just jumping to conclusions thing is just dragging it a little bit down. because I'm not someone who likes miscommunications in these stories. Like, what all I always say is, why don't you just talk? So what this book is teaching me is that it's not always easy to talk. When that not talking happens, when silence happens, what happens to the characters? How do they navigate through all of this? How do they navigate their feelings while going through all of this? That's what this one is about. But yes, I'm on page 153 right now. I have about 105 pages to go. If Rooney manages to make a spectacular ending for this book, then I think it will again be elevated from like to love. But right now it's at like. This is going to be the penultimate update for normal people, and I have so many things I want to talk about, but I also cannot talk about it without exploding or imploding or whatever that is, because I don't know words at this point, I don't know stories at this point, I don't know how to write, I don't know how to speak, and this book has just ripped apart everything that I know about storytelling. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, it could be, but this book is so good. It is frustrating, the characters are frustrating. I just want to take them by the shoulders and shake them until they understand what it is they are doing. But fact is that these characters are so layered and they have so much to bring to the table, so much they bring to the reader, both about their own lives and about reality in general, and about how people interact with each other, and how more often than not we are quick to judge others, but we are also quick to close in on ourselves while expecting the exact opposite from someone else. And the way Sally Rooney peels away these layers, and the way she puts out all these reasons in no words as such, but you understand what she's saying, why Connell and Marianne shouldn't be with each other, even though they love each other so much. They are obsessed in a way, because no matter what, they can't seem to get each other out of their lives, and they don't want to either, but they know that if they are together, one or the other is going to be completely decimated, because these two characters are so inside their own heads that it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. They are impulsive, they make impulsive decisions, and they jump onto the first thought and ride it out to the very end, and they wreck relationships because of that. But there are also different reasons why they end up staying in relationships, and it's such a horrifying thing to watch. I'm like, what are you guys doing? But I'm also like, if you are doing something with someone else, it's not a guarantee that what you are doing with them would be worse than what you would be doing with each other. And these two characters we have seen since they were teenagers, and how they have been interacting with each other since then, and we see how they grow up, we see how they evolve, but do they really evolve? How much has changed and how much has remained the same? How much does that thing inside their minds go, you know what, you're not changing this much of yourself? And that's the thing, despite everything, despite themselves, despite their circumstances, despite what they are feeling, despite how much they are attracted to each other, despite all their assumptions and prejudices about each other, and how they have so wrapped their own selves up into a cocoon and not let the other in until it's come to the point where they have to do it to understand each other. It's sort of painful, it's sad, it's so heartbreaking, and it's aching, but it's also glorious in the way Sally Rooney has written the story of these two characters. And that's the thing, she's not apologetic in the way she speaks about Connell and Marianne, because they are such strong characters in themselves. They have flaws, but they are also such memorable characters. They are frustrating, but they are memorable. And Sally Rooney isn't apologetic when she writes the story. She just tells it like it is, she puts them on paper, and she lets the characters do the talking. And it's up to us, the reader, to find out what exactly it is about these characters, this story, that connects to us so much. And the one thing that I will say that connects this story to me, and that connects me to the story, is the human factor, the human connection, because all of us are flawed, and there are times when we don't acknowledge those, and when that happens, as I would know, the things get out of hand, and sometimes relationships break down, bridges burn down, and I hope that's not going to happen for Connell and Marianne, but this is a reminder of how that is totally, completely possible. And oh my god, this book, I love it. So far at least. Let's see how the remaining 66 pages go. I'm on page 200 right now, and this is the last leg. Going to go read. Okay, I thought I had control over my emotions, and that's why I started recording this, but I had my emotions under control for the entirety of this vlog, and just 5 minutes after finishing this book, I'm a mess. I don't know where this is coming from, but this book is short, but it is so fucking raw. It is so raw, it is so honest. The characters can be frustrating, like I've already mentioned before, and they don't see themselves as worthy of love or worthy of even existing without pain, but they have these people in their lives who see them for who they are, and even though they don't see themselves as worthy, they feel like that other person is worth doing everything for, is worth existing for, and they bring that other person out of the shell. And this, in a nutshell, is what Normal People is all about. Normal People, the title, I used to think, okay, it's a play on words, and how that the two characters in this story, the two main characters in this story, are anything but normal, or something along the lines of all of us have some flaw or the other, so that is what makes us normal, that having a flaw is the kind of norm. But this book is so much more than that, and I will not elaborate on what exactly it is, or I won't elaborate more on it, but this book, it just rips your heart out, and it could be very irritating at times because both of these characters have these quirks where you just want to knock their heads together and make them see sense. But then again, haven't we all done something like this in our lives before, where we haven't been thinking in a straight line, or we haven't stopped to think whether or not this particular impulsive decision is going to make such a huge change in our lives or such a huge impact in our lives. And that is what Connell and Marianne are. They are just two damaged people who don't think very highly of themselves. They find each other, and how they find ways to be in each other's lives, and how they keep coming back to each other only for things to implode in ways that they didn't think it would, or maybe they should have learned from their history, but then they didn't. And that is another thing that makes them human and all of that. And this is a book that you need a lot of patience for, but trust me, if you give this the patience that you've got, all the patience that you've got, this will reward you in a way that I just cannot explain. I think my tears should have told you what this book now means to me. This is a full 5 out of 5 stars, and those have been rare. So that's where I stand with my first ever Rooney, and now I know that I'm never going to miss a single book of this lady. Whatever she writes, I will read. That's just how it is in this household. So that was my vlog for normal people. I hope you enjoyed watching this vlog, and let me know in the comments whether you have read this or do you intend to read it and what your thoughts are. I would love to hear from you. But right now I need to go and cry some more because I need to get it all out of my system. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.